George Miller has somehow done it again, giving us another solid entry into the Mad Max franchise, Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga, which I do think is an unfortunate title, but somewhat unavoidable in this culture we're in, where we need to make sure everyone recognizes what IP we're doing. But this film stars Anya Taylor-Joy, who I consider to be one of the best up-and-coming stars in Hollywood right now, and is essentially the entire origin story of Furiosa, a character that was made very popular from the previous Mad Max installment, Fury Road. Going into this film, Fury Road is one of my favorite movies ever. It is probably within my top 5 films of the past 10 years, top 5 action movies of all time, so the bar in some way was set very high, but it was also not set that high because I was well aware that however good Furiosa was going to be, I don't think it was ever going to top Fury Road. And so to get it out of the way, yes, I don't consider it as good as Fury Road, but I'm not at all disappointed in that. In some ways, I think Furiosa was as good as it could have been, and I have seen several opinions of people who do think this is better than Fury Road, and so I think it's absolutely valid if you have their opinion. I do think these films are different in several different ways, even though they are the most similar two films within this franchise. Every single Mad Max movie feels completely separate and distant from the previous. Yes, Mel Gibson played Max in the original 3 films, but even his story arc wasn't really as connected. Not only that, but the tone and even genre sometimes felt completely unique, and it's one of the unique franchises where you gotta just pick any film you wanted to start off in, and not having seen any of the others, the context wasn't as important. It's this future where resources are limited and the entire Earth is a wasteland, and people go mad. So making this one a prequel was rare in the sense that it is very much directly connected to Fury Road. We see overlapping characters and even specific storylines that are set up that we will later see pay off, and I think there are definitely some pros and cons with this approach. The pro is it's a very unique way to tell a story in this universe. Fury Road attempts to do this action movie with very little plot involved. There's hardly any dialogue. In many ways, it is a silent film with just these giant action set pieces. And Furiosa is much more plot driven. There is a clear story to be told. The whole movie is formatted within chapters, so we are literally going from one life milestone to the next. And so I think if you were troubled by Fury Road not having as much story to it, this one would appeal much more to you. But the thing that does not change a lot is the dialogue, at least coming from the lead character. Anya Taylor-Joy is given very few lines, and that does not diminish at all her performance, and I think it actually enhances it because she needs to rely so much more on her actions, physical movements, facial expressions. But with all the other characters within this specific film, there is much more dialogue, specifically from Chris Hemsworth, who plays kind of the big bad villain within this film in a performance that is both unique but also makes sense for his brand. We haven't seen him play the villain a lot, and this dude is very evil and he makes you believe that he is the scum of the earth. But the way that he just has dialogue after dialogue, if you told me that his character had more lines than all of Max in the entire 4 films that he was in, I think I would believe you. But he brings this charisma that is so strong that you cannot help but be compelled by his performance. There were a few times where he kind of brings this sense of humor to the script, which is somewhat rare for this franchise, and it did worry me a little bit because there were a couple jokes that didn't quite land, and it felt very similar to like MCU level humor, which for the most part general audiences enjoy, so I don't think that's gonna be too offensive to anyone. But anytime you add humor to a universe like this that takes itself so seriously, you're gonna run that risk where not every single joke lands. And it's probably no surprise, but my favorite parts were the giant action set pieces, specifically anytime vehicles were involved. But overall, it just felt really good to see George Miller continue this story the way he wants to tell it and try something new, try a unique format to this franchise. This is a universe that we don't really know a lot about, despite there being now 5 films about it. And if anything, because this was a prequel, because Max was not involved, it was able to rely a lot more on the universe to get you invested. This movie probably gave us the most lore about the universe, and I definitely think that if they wanted to continue making films within this franchise, there are so many spin-offs that are possible. Now let me be clear, I don't want to see any project within this franchise franchise that isn't directly handled by George Miller. And so who knows if that's something he's even interested in, but if he decided to end it all right here, I would say he's going out on top. So those are some of my brief thoughts on Furiosa. Overall, it's a great time. If you love Fury Road like I do, at bare minimum, you're gonna at least get some massive set pieces and stunts that resemble everything you love about that film. And if you watched that film and were frustrated because you wanted more character development or backstory, here you go. This film is made for you. But I would love to hear your thoughts, so if you have seen Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga, please comment below, let me know, and I will see you next time.